Check. Are we on? All right, so David Silverman is being attacked. I am here to defend him because he doesn't even have the time to go through this shit and defend himself. This might take me years to do. I don't know if I should do it, actually. But yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Godless Engineer, 50,000 subs. He's a fat toad from the south. And he's regressive, deeply white guilted, sort of weak of body, weak of mind. He's an atheist 1.0 type, so he's literally still talking about debunking the resurrection. And yeah, he's kind of stagnated. He is stale. He is soft, and he's a bitch. And I dislike him. So he thinks that David Silverman exposes his hypocritical opinion on George Floyd. David had said George Floyd is a piece of human garbage. And I'm not sure how it's hypocritical. There's a lot of virtue signaling in this. So this fat fuck thinks he's hot shit. He's a very caring and nurturing and benevolent humanist. And he's here to tell you that.
You either die a hero,
Give me a fucking break. You die a hero or you live long enough to become what you hate or become a villain. So now, the cognitive dissonance is Godless Engineer once looked up to David Silverman, but now David's not as regressive anymore, and he's calling out black people and holding them accountable for their actions, and he's against criminals. And so, oh, that's not the talking point, so that's not on my timeline. What are you doing, David? You've betrayed me.
or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I want to harass her right now, okay? Penis. I'm so offended.
What's wrong with saying penis?
What's up, heathens?
Wait, you talking about a dumpster fire and then you cut to this image? Come on, man. You're making it too easy. David Silverman is a dumpster fire? How fucking dare you? You fucking loser. Get his name out of your mouth. You couldn't hold his jockstrap.
What's up, heathens? How ya doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and normally I critically analyze...
Oh my god, using skepticism. I use my critical analysis to debug resurrection. It never happened. Change my mind.
apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information.
Oh, you're an arguing stud. Okay, get ready. Just lock the door. Does anyone have anything to do this weekend? Because we're going to sit here for 5 hours. All right?
So that you can stand up and use your voice. Today, though, we're not...
Can you stand up, though? Because let's just point out the circular nature of this. That is a slumping shoulder vibe. I have not seen that for years. I mean, it is cylindrical, does look like a planet, no neck to speak of, and then just a moon. So what you're witnessing here is a large, fleshy moon it's like a comet, and it's embedded itself in this planet, and they're locked in some sort of spiral of gravity on a cosmic level. We're not sure what to make of it. Are these shoulders? Are they just... Is it back fat? We don't know. He could be a disembodied torso. I'm not sure, but get ready for just an influx of skepticism.
exactly handling an apologist, but we are handling...
Is his face inflamed? The color here, the reds. Like, what? Did somebody just slap him in his face?
David Silverman. If you guys aren't aware, David Silverman has regularly found himself in hot water.
For what? Oh, you're going to bring up his sex accusations that were all bullshit?
Over the past few months.
Oh, yeah, nice little soft toss out there.
Most recently...
And by the way, this douche fuck was on the wrong side of the other Atheist 1.0 guy. What's his name? Oh, God, I forget his name. Long gray hair, looks like Spock. Not Spock, Data. He's like Data with gray hair and glasses. And he's a nice guy. He's a debater, a philosopher. He calls himself an agnostic. And he got screwed out of a ton of money from some southern gay. And this dude and his fat wife side with the southern gay who straight up stole thousands upon thousands of dollars from this guy. And they stood behind him. And it was like, oh my God, you have just exposed yourself as being devoid of all character. And this guy still undulates back on screen and has shit to say. And he's like, oh, let me knock David Silverman down a peg. Oh my God, eat a bag of shit.
He said this on a podcast.
I don't care when a felon gets a shit kicked out of them by cops.
Yeah.
George Floyd was human garbage.
And George Floyd didn't get the shit kicked out of him. And right, I mean, he's obviously being hyperbolic, and he's making the larger point, which is felons are criminals and they commit acts of harm against other people. Therefore, they don't get the same rights as us. They're on their way to jail. Like, they are now being evacuated out of society for a reason. So, yeah, it goes without saying that we don't care about them as much. They forfeit their right for us to be concerned for them. I mean, on a basic human level, we do, but that's, if we want to get real, like, no, they are cunts.
It's not such a terrible thing that he's dead.
And today we're going to be examining a video where he explains in further detail why he considers George Floyd.
I mean, that seems a bit excessive. The fact that it's not a big deal that he's dead. I mean, yes, he had felonies, but that day he wasn't like out hurting people. He was more just pathetic. So he's something to be pitied. To say it's not bad that he's dead, it's like, it's unnecessary, is my point.
To be human garbage. So if you want to know why David Silverman is a total jackass now, then please stay tuned.
Here comes that intro. Look at this. Look, it's metal and it's corroding. And, it's built Ford tough, built Ford fat, godless engineer. Whoa, so much grunge and the sparks. And what template did you use to make that? Shit. Unimpressive. And we're just going to sit there with the trailer music. Dunk, 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 dunk. You're the least hard thing in the universe. Yeah.
Now, before we begin our video today, at one point in my past, I really considered David Silverman to be kind of one of those really good, outspoken atheists that I somewhat aspired to be.
Oh, gross. Yeah, he still is all that. And the reason you looked up to him was because he was brave enough to speak out against bullshit, even though the bullshitters way outnumbered him. So he risked everything and was on the forefront. He started the Reason Rally. All right, he threw up the middle finger to the entire religious world and said, I am right, here's why. And he exhibited strength. And he's doing it again now, finally, when it comes to race and criminality. And you just can't follow suit because you're a fat, soft, weak-minded soy boy who just doesn't have the backbone. You don't have it in you. You have no neck. You have no jaw. So you have a small penis, is what I'm saying.
Or at least to be like. This was back when he was really rustling a lot of feathers on news shows and everything like that. Like, I don't know.
Did you say wrestling a lot of feathers?
I just liked the kind of attitude.
Yeah, when you went on Fox News and said Christian's bad, I was into that. But now you're talking about the blacks, and I got to stick up for the blacks.
That he showed on those shows. Just the sort of abrasive and I don't give a shit about your religion type of attitude.
Right, and now he doesn't give a shit about your weakness on the issue of race. Same guy.
Fortunately for me, I've grown up since then.
No, you've grown out since then. You've grown, period. You are growing. You are planetary.
He's
intergalactic planetary.
He's only seemed to have regressed. Now I do.
Oh, please don't bring up the word regressed. You are a pure, dyed-in-the-wool regressive. You are definitional to what a regressive is. You fat fucking skid mark. Get the fuck out of here. I'm better than David Silverman, and let me tell you why.
I do want to set
David Silverman should unhinge your jaw and spit down your throat.
The scene for you guys because he made this video directly because of something that I really kind of publicized on my Twitter account. And I want to give you guys the full clip so that you understand.
That's the background he goes, like, what is that? His logo? Some tacky ass diagonal, like, whoa. What is that? You have a green screen and that was your choice? Fucking hell, dude, put anything else. Put Matthew McConaughey looking at rain. Anything.
Understand what...
Give me something to not look at, or to look at, that is not you.
Exactly he's talking about here.
And systemic racism.
Could David Smalley look any gayer in that? The V-neck t-shirt, the piercing Chris Helmsworth blue eyes, the manicured goatee, whatever the fuck that is, with a Shakespearean little queefy beard. Hashtag queefy beard. What is that, David?
Is a
Smalley.
myth. And police brutality is not a real problem. And I don't get upset
Yeah, it's not a real problem. It's the same size problem as like the frogs turning gay. More frogs turn gay per capita than blacks are shot by cops.
felons get the shit kicked out of them by cops. I don't care when a felon gets the shit kicked out of them by cops, especially when they're reaching for a gun.
Yeah, and that's the context that he edited out at the beginning. And so it's part of a larger point which he's making, which is, yeah, if you're resisting, if you're reaching for a weapon, then yes, you deserve an ass kicking. And yes, he's saying you need to be arrested. You are the criminal. You're the bad person. Cops are the good people, stopping the criminals. Criminals are doing bad, harming other people. And if you're going to try to claim to be a humanist and not understand the dynamics of what a criminal is and what the cops are, you're a fucking chimp.
Especially when they're a dangerous criminal, especially when they got multiple felonies. I've got more shit to worry about than that.
I got bore shit? Or did he say I got bigger shit or more? I think he was trying to say bigger and more at the same time. Listen.
Especially when they got multiple felonies. I've got more shit to worry about.
I got bore shit. I got Borg shit to worry about. The hive mind, man.
Than that. And to say that cops taking down criminals is racism.
I know.
It's just ridiculous.
Thank you. Ashkenazi. He just took out the Ashka, and now he's just a Nazi.
It's just ridiculous to look at George Floyd and say, aha, racism. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
George Floyd was human garbage.
Oh, what? I thought that was Sargon. Anna Kasparian would agree. No, she wouldn't. She thinks we're garbage. She's better than us. But George Floyd is human garbage. Yeah, he was. But, you know, he was just a flawed dude. He made many mistakes in his life. He was a bit stupid, and he was a drug addict. So it's not much. It's not anything to write home about. But I do have a different place in my heart and mind for someone who is violent to others versus just violent to themselves. So if he's going to be a petty-ass criminal trying to forge $20 bills and get a pack of cigarettes and do meth and fentanyl and, you know, yeah, he's a waste of a life and he's a pathetic character. But if he's not violent, that's another thing. Now, you can bring up, and it's fair to bring up, that he has been violent in the past, but not in his present iteration. That's what I'm saying.
It's not such a terrible thing that he's dead.
Oh.
Let's just say that.
Wow. Yeah,
because he's a multiple felon. He held a gun to a woman's stomach, a pregnant woman's stomach, while they
Did he hold it to her sacrum?
ransacked her home.
Yeah, I know.
And then I don't fucking care.
Yeah, but he did prison time for that, though, right?
Yeah, he did a lot of prison time, but then he was back out again.
Right.
And
So do you are you in favor of you're not in favor of the death penalty, are you, as a humanist?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
no, I'm not.
So you are in favor.
I care a lot more about the children.
Well,
I care a lot more about the
innocents. I understand.
So that clip was taken from David C. Smalley's
You're fat.
podcast, where he had David Silverman on to discuss, all of the shit that he's been getting into surrounding.
What shit is he getting into? Look at this talk of like, the mob is after David Silverman. There's some chatter on the interweb about the dude. Yeah, because he has balls and he says what he thinks. That's why.
Various issues. Most notably, this sort of race realism approach.
Race realism is in his quiver. All right? This is Fat Robin Hood, and he just pulled out the term race realism. So, hey, Fatso, what the fuck are we talking about if the words black and white mean nothing to you? Let me debunk race realism. Races are real. They matter. They are biologically founded. At the fringes of race, yes, it's a little bit muddy. There's such a thing as a mulatto. There's mixed races. But just because there's red and blue, just because there's purple doesn't mean there isn't red and blue. So race is absolutely real. What's more, you talk about race as if it's real, and then you're like, race realism is bad. Meanwhile, you're like, Black Lives Matter. What? Just shut the fuck up. God damn. And this dude is inspiring me to go work out. I'm going to work out later doing some aerobics, So, got to burn that fat. I got to burn his fat.
Approach that he's taken recently. All right, so now that you guys are caught up, Let's jump on into his video.
Felons
Here comes the argumentation.
matter less.
Felons matter less? Firebrand for good. The Phoenix. Look at that. Rising like the Phoenix. After Me Too. David Silverman.
Now, it's kind of important here to understand what he's talking about.
Oh, he put good in quotation marks. He did that regressive thing of the sarcastic, like emo 13-year-old, thanks, mom, quotation marks. Great, tubby sack of shit. Where'd you pick that up? From Vosh, the horsecock-loving fag? Is that where you picked that up? Hold on, am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Oh, right, I'm not on YouTube. Vosh is a faggot. Been wanting to say that for a long, long while.
Because he says that felons matter less.
Yeah.
But David Silverman also claims to be a humanist.
Oh, if you're a humanist, you care about all humans. But wait, godless engineer, what about the humans who rape and kill other humans? Surely we should condemn them and be less concerned with their well-being. In fact, we should probably strip them of some of their rights, considering the fact that they've aggressed upon another human being. We humanists, right? Doesn't that make sense to us?
And right off the bat, I'm kind of confused as to why
What to eat and how to have a healthy, balanced diet.
you're trying to tier out the different people in society.
Oh, why? Because their actions are definitive as to who they are and what they will do in the future and what they've already done in the past. And so we have two different tiers of category. Criminals, non-criminals. Do you want me to explain to you why that's important? Do you understand why we have jails? Do you understand why we have law and order or punishment? Do you understand why we need to protect innocent people? Do you understand the concept of innocence and guilt? Are you awake? Are you conscious? Are you reading a script?
Since David Silverman labels himself as a humanist,
Why is he saying David Silverman? Oh, like, can you call him Dave or David? What is this? It's like he's fangirling over the dude. David Silverman. Just, can we use a nickname?
let's look at what a humanist typically is. I'm going to pull
A humanist is someone who supports felons and doesn't care about the crimes they committed.
this off of the Humanist International website because I feel like
Oh, he went to humanism.com.
they have the best description
Brilliant.
of what it really means to have a humanist type of worldview. A humanist bases their understanding
Shit, he's reading us the definition of humanist.
of the world on reason and scientific method.
Oh, we like that stuff. You're talking to the guy who started and founded the Reason Rally. But okay, tell Dave Silverman, or sorry, I'm doing it now. Tell David what reason is about.
Rejecting supernatural or divine beliefs as bad explanations or ill-formed ideas. A humanist bases their ethical decisions again on reason, with the input of empathy and aiming towards the welfare and fulfillment of living things.
Yes, and if you... we're being empathetic to the victims of felons. And yeah, that's a very reasonable position to have. Because if you don't have that, then you are morally blind.
So let's keep this in mind whenever we think about what it means to be a humanist. I'm not going to sit here and say that
Humanist.
David Silverman's not a humanist,
Oh, no? No true humanist fallacy?
but in this video, he's going to say a lot of things that are not typical of
Okay, so this is like raw pussydom, is what we're witnessing. He's basically saying, don't criticize anyone. If you criticize a human being, oh, that's nasty. No, we can't do that. And that's why we saw a split with the atheist community where it was early shit, even before like feminism or, well, in and around that same time, Atheism Plus and all that. These guys exposed themselves when Islam came around, and we were like, fuck, these Muslims are kind of acting crazy. They're killing people, they're blowing shit up, their religious views are more extreme, more backward, more dangerous, more violent. And just making that simple observation, they people like that would react and go, no, we're humanists, we gotta like protect the Muslims, and there's no difference. Don't call them out. Don't make like a special, don't pay attention to them in any way. Don't differentiate the Muslims. Please, that doesn't sound nice. Let's just be nice. And that's weakness. What they're doing is avoiding a confrontation that needs to be had. And that's their method. That's what they do in life. Like, he avoids a lot of shit in his life that needs to be addressed, but he's a pussy.
of what you would consider to be a humanist. Right off the bat, one being a tiered list of who is valued in our society.
Yes, there's tons of tiers. What are you talking about? But one basic one is like murderers and rapists. They get a little gold star next to their name, an asterisk. Yeah, they're not just regular people. What they are, what they did, what they're capable of is important, especially morally. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, these are people who harm other humans. All right, Mr. Humanist? So we're against them because of their damage that they do to human beings.
Being that felons, however you may take that, is at near the bottom of the list.
I take felons as meaning felons. So nice fake profoundness there. Like, what do you... Felons are felons.
It seems at least they're valued less than the rest of society.
Of course they are. They're valued less. They're removed from society. It's not even close. Yes, of course we value and respect them less. They've earned that. I mean, the guy's like going, what's going on with that? We should treat all people the same. What is this, the goddamn Teletubbies or the Bronies or My Little Pony? This is some like infantile shit that this fat shit. I say the word shit too much.
I call George Floyd human garbage. And there was a pretty big reaction to that. And I wanted to make a video about why I said that and what I meant. And no, I'm not going to back down from the statement.
I love it. I love it. I'm doubling down on George Floyd as a piece of shit.
I have been watching this racism issue from a different point of view for the past several months, many months now.
Ah, yes, he's woke. He's been listening to black conservatives who are calling it out.
And I have been watching a lot of
black
conservatives.
Thank you.
Officer Tatum, Candace Owens, Anthony Brian Logan.
I love how your go-to black conservatives that you're listening to on this particular matter are these like far-right conservatives.
They're not far-right anything. I mean, it's ridiculous. They're hardly even political. Yeah, they're Trump supporters, but they're not some extremist political wing of being Republican. They're basically centrist.
Like Candace Owen. I mean, she's notoriously a dipshit just in every position that she holds.
Well, that was a great argument, Godless. I mean, I'm thinking of Candace Owens just in a way different light now. Thank you for illuminating me on that one. God, I can't wait for more of these brilliant arguments come spilling from your mouth. Usually shit is going into your mouth.
They seem to be right. And what I've learned from them, and you know, people talk about diversity. And they talk about diversity as if color of the skin is what matters. It's not about color of the skin. It's not about background. It's about the diversity of ideas that those colors of skin and background bring to the table.
Wait a minute, Dave. First of all, your soul patch is ridiculous. But it's not about color of the skin? Oh, yeah. Well, that seems something we can get on board, right, Godless? I mean, race isn't real. So Dave's not even talking about race. He's talking about ideas and behavior and action and criminality. So where are we at now with that race realism stuff?
It's about the addition that they bring to the table.
Well, I mean, I think the color of your skin when talking about systemic racism...
Whoa, Mr. Race Realist. Wait a minute, color of the skin is an actual thing now? Oh, systemic racism exists? Huh? What are you talking about, bro? What are you, a race realist?
And the issues of what it means to be black in America.
What are you even talking about? What does black mean? That's a social construct. God, can't believe you're outing yourself as a race realist.
I think that the color of your skin is very important.
Yeah, you do, because you're a bitch and an idiot.
Me being a white boy from North Alabama is not going to have the...
Oh, here we go. I'm a white boy from the South, and my pappy was in the Confederate Army, and my grandpappy was in the Klan. And I feel super, super guilty.
Exact same experience as a black person in the same area.
Right. Incredible. Great point. Great argument. Yeah, everyone has different experiences. So fucking what? And go live in an all-black neighborhood. Go ask Howard Stern what his experience as a Jewish white guy growing up in a black school was like. No, he had a different experience, didn't he?
Or a black person in the United States in general. I have experienced privilege because of the fact that I'm a middle-aged white man.
Middle-aged white man? What privilege? Why'd you add age into it? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? I'm a middle-aged white man, so I'm privileged? How? You're some fucking inbred hillbilly. Probably gonna die of corona. The fuck are you talking about? This is what white privilege looks like? Does anyone think that that's a privilege to be the godless engineer? Fucking kill me. Fuck my life. Unbelievable. So why don't you just admit, just come out and go, I am a liquid puddle of pussy juice and I am filled with white guilt. Just come out and say that.
So I think that David Silverman's wrong in this instance, that the color of your skin definitely does add something to the conversation.
What?
But
What does it add? David's like, the point is, it's not to do with that. He's talking about diversity of thought. He's talking about, things that matter, not just your random haphazard identity of your skin color. So let's move on from the point that you are totally hypocritical. First of all, he's calling out Silverman for being hypocritical. He's the one that goes, Silverman's a fucking race realist. Meanwhile, the systemic racism and black people, it's super important that you're black and skin color matters a huge amount. What? I mean, dude, just give up on one of those positions. You cannot have both of them.
then again, this is a guy that thinks that systemic racism is a lot like Jesus.
But systemic racism is not real.
Yeah.
So systemic racism is the same as Jesus.
So I can't really.
And Jesus wasn't real, and it doesn't exist. And that's why people refer to the woke cult as a religion. And this dumb motherfucker is falling just victim to every delusional idea that religious people had. He's just applying it to race. So the variables have changed, but the stupid patterns remain.
Expect him to value the perspective of any black person in America.
What is a black person's perspective? I don't care if they're black. I care about the perspective. That was the point he was making. You can't just clear your throat and be like, I'm a black, so listen to what I say and take it as gospel. I mean, that's the same mentality as a religious person. So if a black person tells me something, makes a claim, you think I'm supposed to believe them because they're black? No, you have to make a fucking point. This is like listening to, one of the apostles or one of the people that were touched by God, or they're like, oh, God spoke to me. Joseph Smith comes down and goes, I'm Joseph Smith. I just spoke to God. Now let me fuck your wives. And you're like, oh, okay, Joseph Smith. No, I don't care. I don't believe it.
But David Silverman doesn't seem to really understand that by the fact that they are black, they bring a different perspective.
What? Who cares? Who gives a shit? I'm white. I have a white perspective. And let's speak in other terms. Let's go to other tiers. People with high IQ. Do you think Dave has a high IQ? I do. Let's listen to high IQ perspectives. What? Who cares that the person's skin color and then what? That's supposed to validate whatever the fuck they're going to say? What is this? Is this story time? Are we in kindergarten?
Because they've had a different experience. It almost seems like he's cherry picking who he listens to, as if to
Dave has been listening to left-wing talking points for years.
Confirm his own bias.
No, he's not. He's actually thinking independently for a long time on this issue, for the first time in a long time.
So when I look at these folks, these black conservatives.
And by the way, he's reacting to every left-wing talking point. It's not like he's just sitting in a cave listening to right-wingers. He's heard the left. He sees the mainstream. That's all left. That whole narrative has been laid out. He's heard that side. He's heard other sides. And here's his Ashkenazi opinion after having heard out every side.
They bring something to the table that I just do not get from black liberals.
Right. Oh, wait a minute. Godless, didn't that... Look at that expression. Didn't you just say we're supposed to listen to black people and their perspective is super important? And so him listening to black conservatives, shouldn't we take that dead serious? They have a lived experience, dude. Come on now.
So what would these black conservatives that seem to be correct to David Silverman bring to the table that he's not getting from black liberals?
A different perspective. That's what he already just said. Diversity of thought. Okay? He's not listening to the gospel of the left like you are and shoving your head up your own ass and pretending racism is the boogeyman. Racism is to you what the Holy Spirit is to everyone who's religious or faith. or God, for that matter. It's like you could draw the comparisons to a lot of things.
Well, it seems like he prefers the perspective of
Yeah, he doesn't agree with you. We're gonna like waddle our way up to the realization that Dave doesn't agree with you.
the black conservatives because they're not the ones that are acknowledging the systemic racism.
Systemic or systematic? There is no such thing, you tub of shit. And this guy tries to prove systemic racism later. It's probably the cringiest thing I've seen all week.
That is prevalent throughout our society. In this section, David Silverman seems to be dismissing the black liberals' view or position.
Yes. Yes. You dumb motherfucker. Yes, he has an opinion. He agrees with these people on this issue. He disagrees with Candace Owen and Officer Tatum on many other issues. So it just happens to be he listened to those people speak on this issue and he agrees with them. So, yeah, let's do it in reverse. Black liberals speak, he's heard them, he doesn't agree with them, he agrees with these people. Let's talk about something.
And favoring the black conservatives' views because their views on these particular topics are comfortable for him.
What? No. What's comfortable is you. Nice projection. You're the one who's comfortable demonizing white people, saying, oh, poor, I'm terrible, let me self-flagellate, sorry about slavery, blacks have never done anything wrong. Is there anything wrong with being a criminal? I don't think so. I'm a humanist. I'm a super swell guy. Look at me, just a big fat teddy bear of empathy.
Sort of reinforce how he already feels, or at least it's
reinforce. So how are you ascertaining how David Silverman came to his opinions? The guy's an independent thinker, okay, and he's explaining his position. He's not just parroting talking points. He's put thought into this. So I know you're triggered because a conservative was mentioned. It's like, oh, they must be wrong. They've got to be wrong. Well, sometimes they're right. You know when they're right? When they're right. So if a conservative says 2 + 2 is 4, they're right, and they're a conservative.
seems like that's the case. Or in other words, cherry picking like a motherfucker.
Officer Tatum
Cherry picking, like, what are you talking about?
mentioned once that he was getting his master's degree and he wasn't going to get a party when he got his master's degree, but that his cousin coming home from prison was going to get a back from prison party because that's something that's in the African American community and that's prevalent in the African American community. And this was kind of a lightning, an aha moment for me. This idea, I mean, that the African American community is tolerant and almost celebratory of crime.
That is not what the parties for people that are coming back from prison
What?
are.
You're going to defend that? You're going to die on the hill of, isn't it normal to have a celebration that a guy came back from prison, but not have a party when a guy gets his master's?
Meant to be about.
What? Yes, it is. It's, look,
These
come on, man.
parties or this celebration of them getting out of jail
Yeah.
is not about celebrating them doing the crime in the first place.
No, but he's looking at the low expectations. This should be a shameful thing. And he goes on to make that point. If a Jewish guy or a white guy gets out of prison, there's not a big party. It's like, dude, what were you doing in prison in the first place? I mean, that's why he said it's normal. It's been normalized. It's expected. Criminality is like a badge of honor in some sectors in that community. So, I mean, look at the elephant in the room, man. I mean, who do you think you're kidding here?
I mean, I feel like if they were celebrating the crime, they would have done
He didn't say celebrating the crime.
it as soon as the crime was committed or shortly thereafter.
By the way, they do that as well.
They're celebrating their loved one coming
their
home
loved one.
from prison where they've been for months or years.
Oh, right. I wonder why they're in prison, pal of mine. Oh, great empathy shown for the celebration post-prison. What about the victims, fat man? What about the fucking victims?
So, David, you framing this as if the party is to celebrate the crime that they committed is just totally disingenuous. And then to also juxtapose that against a person that was graduating with a degree and not having a party, I just feel like juxtaposing those two situations is very dishonest.
How is it dishonest? It's a point. You eject, you go, it's dishonest. Why? It's comparing two things. How is that dishonest? What are you talking about? I mean, He's talking about cultural trends in a community, and he's comparing the achievement in education versus the achievement of getting out of prison. One gets a party, one doesn't. Why? It's a very good point. And it shows where are the priorities of the parents and just the members of that community. They're completely off kilter. And he's like, oh, it's dishonest. How? I mean, you didn't even try to make a point there.
George Floyd was not a martyr. He was not a war hero. He was not, a veteran of some attack who did something brave.
Nope.
He really was a multiple felon.
So, wait a second. In order to be celebrated or mourned or anything like that, you've got to be a war hero?
Wait, you admit that you're celebrating George Floyd? What the fuck is there to celebrate about George Floyd? Or mourned? And by the way, who's mourning George Floyd? Are you kidding me? Are you going to stand up here and say that you are mourning the loss of George Floyd? I don't buy that. That's bullshit, for starters. But there are people dying every day, every moment, and this man is a total stranger to you. And he was a fucking crackhead and a meth head and a drug addict and a felon. Okay, so you don't know him. Spare me. Give me a freaking break. Come on.
You've got to do something spectacular?
No, you have to not do something spectacularly bad or evil, like constantly commit crimes, like point guns at pregnant women. So, yeah, and you have to not be a miserable schmuck whose life, I mean, he's unemployed? What was he? What was he doing? So, yes, he was a worthless, total fuck up of a human being. And no, we're not going to celebrate him for that. Why are you celebrating George Floyd?
In your life in order for it to matter?
Matter? What do you mean matter? To who? Why would that scumbag's life matter to me? Why? Answer that.
I kind of feel like that's what he's talking about here. Now, I get it. George Floyd was not a good guy by any means.
So then, no, you don't get it. And by the way, this guy is such a bloated bitch. And he pretends to be this, oh my God, he cares about everybody. He's this great humanist. Oh, you care about everyone? Everyone matters to you? Are you giving to all the charities? Are you disposing of all your disposable income? Are you helping all the people, all the little creatures of the earth? You care about all these people? No, you don't. You fucking loser. Who do you think believes you? All right? You're not some superhero of empathy. So fucking spare me. Oh, I get it. He's a bad guy. Yeah.
But that's not the reason why he's being remembered or why he kind of became the face of the Black Lives Matter movement there.
That's a fucking joke. You're dying on the hill of George Floyd. Incredible. So he's not a martyr. He shouldn't be a martyr. He definitely should not be celebrated. And now you're like, oh, you've changed it to remembered. Why has he been remembered? What happened?
For a while. The reason why he was remembered and became the face of BLM for a time is...
The face of BLM is a crackhead. Great.
Because he was unfairly treated by the cops.
No, he wasn't. Not in the slightest, was he?
And unfairly killed.
He wasn't unfair. It's unfair that he OD'd. The man OD'd on drugs. The information is out. The videos are out. You could see the man popping the pills to avoid trouble with the cops. He was on a lethal cocktail of drugs. So even if Derek Chauvin shouldn't have kept the knee on the neck, which was not pressed in, it was not suffocating him, and that's what the autopsy showed, he could have not done that, and the guy would have still died. He was the one worked up. That's why he said he couldn't breathe long before the knee. Why do you think that is, you fucking jackass?
He was murdered by them.
So if I say to you, I feel very bad, I feel like I'm dying, and they go, oh, okay, and I go, no, seriously, I feel really bad, I feel like I'm dying. Right? I heard you the first time. No, like I feel super, super bad, and I think I'm about to die. And then you see a ladybug land on my shoulder, and then I die. And you go, what the fuck is up with that ladybug? Did you see that? You got to get that ladybug in jail.
It's not because of his felonious past. That's not the reason why people are celebrating him.
Well, wait, I thought he was remembered. Now we're celebrating him? Why the hell should we celebrate George Floyd? And no one says you're celebrating for his felonious past. We're saying you're ignoring his felonious past, not to mention his felonious present. What do you think he was doing that day? He was operating a motor vehicle under the influence. endangering the lives of all these people, Mr. Humanist. He was committing crime. He was resisting arrest. He was killing himself with drugs. He was out and about with corona. Come on. I mean, I love the fact that he's like, no, we kind of should celebrate him, actually. Which is it?
They're not even celebrating him.
Oh, well, so he flip-flops again. So what are they doing? Why is he the face of the movement if he's not a martyr to be celebrated? Why are you painting murals of a man? How is that not glorification of a felon? Of a felon who OD'd? Of course that's what you're doing.
It'd be more like mourning him.
Mourning? What? Mourning a stranger? What the mourning a dude who OD'd? What are you talking about? So you and I could go check the news today and find out how many people died of a drug overdose. Oh, there's a meth head Hispanic from California. He got checked into the emergency room and it turns out he died. He died of meth. Oh, shall we mourn him? You tubby shit, godless engineer. Oh my God, what would that look like? Devin, what are you doing today? I got a few things on my plate. Really, like what? I'm mourning the death of a Hispanic meth head. Oh, really? Is he like a fan of yours, a friend? No, I don't know him. So why are you mourning him? Well, he died, and I'm a humanist. But was he like a good guy? Was he like a family man, or did he have a charity that he ran? No, he was a felon. He was a drug addict and a felon. And a porn star. And you're mourning him? Yeah, I am. Why? Because that's how big of a heart I have. What's your fucking problem?
Because of the fact that he was yet another victim of
Yet another. Oh, now who's cherry picking? Yet another victim of what?
systemic racism.
Systemic overdosing of fentanyl? Self-imposed? There's no fucking racism. Hey, Mr. Argument, Mr. Logic, Mr. Reason. Do you care to make a single case that there's systemic racism? I mean, do you realize you're operating, talk about tears, you're operating right now with a person who's fully engaged in the middle of a flow state, listening to everything you say, filtered through the mind of a UCLA graduate, okay? I am on such a freaking high level of awareness and consciousness. Like, I'm listening to what is being heard. I am also aware of what is not being said. It's insane. It's like Neo from the Matrix when the bullets and he's just like waving them off. Or no, he's deflecting the karate chops from the FBI looking dude. That's what I'm doing right now. And I'm waiting for you to make a single point. And this dude, he thinks an argument is this man died because of systemic racism. What? Hey, you fucking degenerate scumbag. Why don't you add a couple sentences to that? Explain what you just said. What do you mean he died from Where's the fucking racism there? What? Wait, are you saying a man died and the man was black, therefore it's racist? It's not an argument, okay? It doesn't make any sense. The man OD'd on meth and fentanyl. Go read the toxicology report.
Racism that permeates throughout our society.
Systemic racism is not real. Systemic racism is the same as Jesus.
Now, yes, I know. You don't think that systemic racism is real.
Oh, here we come. Watch out now. I think we're in that systemic section here. We are. This fucking Nimrod had the gall to call this section Proving Systemic Racism. You guys ready? For the next 5 minutes, this fucking whale is about to prove systemic racism. Let me chug a swig of chocolate milk on that. Hold on. I don't know if I'm ready. Here we go.
But it is, David.
Oh.
It is.
Watch out, David.
All right. And to prove that systemic racism is, in
buckle up, we're about to go to warp speed. Look at this dork.
fact, a real thing, we're going to take a look at some figures here that Business Insider...
It makes sense that he has this background of space and motion because the guy is as fat as a planet. A Business Insider, what'd they say? So we're referring to Business Insider. They've figured this out. Okay.
Crunched the numbers on and provided us with in this handy-dandy little blog post that they put up. After George Floyd was murdered by the police...
This guy sounds like he's on fentanyl or something. Has he been hit with a tranquilizer dart? Like, speed up.
They felt like it was imperative to prove that systemic racism is a real thing. So
here we go, guys. Boom! Median household wealth. What? There's a gap? There's a fucking gap? Well, oh, godless. I know the reason for the gap. It must be racism.
this first figure that we're looking at here shows us the median house.
Just listen. Seriously. If you don't believe me, listen to him try to make this point, and he'll stop short of, like, it's almost like he doesn't even get through the premise. There's never a first stage to this argument. It's never A plus B leads to C. There's no conclusion. There's no middle. There's no beginning. It's like, here's some stats. Okay. Well, I guess white people have more money than black people. Great. So fucking what? And Asians and Jews and Indian Americans and Pakistani Americans have more money than whites. So what? Godless engineers, so what? You know what that means? They make more money.
Household wealth among 25 to 40-year-olds. And, oh, man, it really seems like there's
oh my God, look at him. He thinks he's cocky. Look, he thinks he's sitting there and he's just dunking. It's like, look at this fucking shit. You see the blue and the yellow? Well, what do you think is going to happen? For starters, and this is household wealth, do you think this is factoring in that white households have two earners? They have two people earning money. Way more than blacks who have one person earning money. And very little money. So we have better jobs, we have more stable families, two earners, and we save money and spend money in different ways. As in, we do it responsibly and have more financial literacy, and we pass on wealth because we are raising our children. That's the difference.
Pretty big divide between the white population
and if you're busy being a porn star and overdosing on fentanyl and, you know, not succeeding in terms of education or business, and if you're committing crimes and you're spending your life in jail, you're probably not going to be a big earner. Your household wealth won't be much. So it is their fault that their numbers are where their numbers are at. And I will wait, and you tell me why some random white household earning, so you have some woman, she's a lawyer, her husband is a fucking engineer. He's a godless engineer. And they earn what they earn. What does that have to do with some crackhead on welfare not earning jack shit and not being married? What do the two things have to do with each other? Oh, but I know it's uncomfortable because whites have more money than blacks. That's your basic discomfort with this. Whites do better than blacks on every part of life. Every part of, aside from moonwalking and dunking. Although Tom Chambers would have something to say about that.
the black population. Maybe that's just a fluke, though. Let's go on.
Do you see that? Let's go on. It's over. That's over. There was no point. He goes, whites have a bunch more money per household than blacks. Nice explanation. Nice analysis. Nice. I mean, there's no connection of any dots. It's just, I mean, that is a startling point or lack of a point that he just brought up. And you're just sitting there going, I mean, I am speechless with how stupid that was.
On to the next one, which is the per capita income of black and white Americans.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay, you fucking fat loser. Here's one. Let me just throw something out there. Let me just take this to a UCLA level and analyze this. Hold on. This blue line's up here, and then this yellow line's the blacks is down here, and I think the reason for that is racism. What? Who? How? What? I mean, doesn't make a goddamn sense. So, when blacks make more money than whites, which, you know, a bunch of them do, there's a lot of crossover here. What is that? How are we explaining that? How is Beyonce and Oprah making more money than me? How? Oh, I know how. Because of the principle, the logic of this argument is if there's a gap, it's racist. So Oprah and Beyonce make more money than me because of racism. Oh, that doesn't apply? That doesn't apply. Okay. Well, how about this? What are the education rates or college graduation rates between these two groups? Are they equal, you shit? You dumb piece of shit? Wasting everyone's fucking time posting this cringe? No, they're not, are they? So Just off that alone. Forget the high school dropout rate. What is the high school dropout rate of these two groups? What is the teenage pregnancy rate of these two groups? What is the criminal rate of these two groups? What is the marriage rate of these two groups? Take any of those stats and then tell me why there's a difference in this fucking number. You fucking baboon. God damn it. It's so stupid. And listen, all he's doing here is showing you a disparity in numbers and moving on and going, it's racism. And this dumb bitch is familiar with the God of the Gaps argument. So he's thoroughly familiar with it. That's all he's been doing for the last decade, is going over atheism 1.0 bullshit arguments. And he doesn't realize he's doing racism of the gaps? He doesn't know that? There's a literal gap in front of him.
Nope. There seems to be a pretty big division there.
There's a division. Hey, there's certain things we don't know in science. Like what? Well, we don't know how, every detailed nuance of DNA. We don't understand consciousness, and we don't understand what happened before the Big Bang. Well, I know what that means. That means God lives there. That's where the God is. And this guy comes on, he goes, well, I see a pretty big gap. Hey, all you scientists, you don't know much about consciousness. You can't recreate it, can you? You can't even explain it fully. So, that's God. Yeah.
With the black population having a per capita income of 24.7 thousand, while the white population's per capita income is just below twice that.
So fucking what? We're almost a quarter of the way through the proving systemic racism. Are you convinced? Are you compelled? Yeah, white people do well. Congratulations. Good job, whites. Good job. And what about, so why don't we just scrap the white chart there and look at the Jewish income, which is higher, or look at the Asian income, which is higher, or how about the Nigerian immigrant income, which is higher? Why don't we analyze those? There's some gaps there. They're even bigger. Those gaps are bigger than the stupid one you're looking at now. And is that because of racism? Is it? Or is it because of underachieving for Black Americans? They're earning the level of income that they earn. They deserve what they get. If they wanted to do better, they would. If they could, they would. They don't. And it's not an invisible force, aka God, or racism, that is preventing them from doing so.
And then if we go to our next graph, the household wealth of Black and white Americans, you can see in total assets, the white population has 102.
You know what's fucking great about this? This is not per capita. Total assets. Total. These are white people's totals. Do you realize that there's 6 times as many white people in our country than blacks? So he's not even dividing by that. And by the way, even if he did, it still doesn't matter. This gap is still just a random gap, which just says that white people do well in life, raising children, going to school, getting jobs, saving money, passing on wealth. They do that independent of anyone, just like other groups do. It's not just whites that do well with that. It's a sliding scale. Like Hispanics land somewhere in the middle of all this. And to their credit, they get credit where it's due, and they fuck up where they do. They have a way higher rate of criminality. And their education, they are not performing at our level, but they don't sit there and go, we're not performing because of you. Because of you. No, it's not. It's because of you, you shit. And this guy's like, oh, I'm a humanist. I treat everyone. No, you treat them like they're not human. You're treating them like they have no agency. They have no part in their life. You're like, oh, they should be Wakanda'd out. They should be like above whites. If only those whites weren't, if it wasn't for those darn whites just getting in the way of black success, it's a fucking myth, dude. It's obviously false.
$2 trillion, while the black population only has $6 trillion.
So what? Not per capita.
I do believe that there is a pretty big fucking difference there.
Whoa, fucking difference. Dropping a fuck bomb? Wow, bro. That's crazy. Look at the proof. Come on, David Silverman. Look at that gap.
Oh, well, let's look at the employment population ratio by race and ethnicity.
Wait, I thought we're not race realists. This is a chart that says white, black, and Hispanic. So I guess race is kind of real. It kind of is. Okay. It is real when you want it to be. Got it.
The black population
Percentage of people with a job. And we have, looks like the same exact, is that Corona? Okay, we have the same exact trends with all the groups, and it looks like blacks are underperforming. So instead of asking, hey, blacks, why were you at 60% here, but then in these years you dropped down to here? I mean, this proves itself. Everyone's going through the same dip, right? So the economic crash or whatever, economic hard times. So how does this have anything to do? Anything to do with us? We don't care. Jesus. Obviously, all people are being affected in the same way. Oh, look, all the races are affected by Corona. What the fuck? Huh?
comes in last with 49.6%.
They come in last. Again, he views it like a race. Maybe he doesn't believe in races, but he believes that it is a physical race. And we got to beat the other group. Hey guys, what am I doing today? I'm trying to beat the other groups.
And the Hispanic population is next with 52.8%.
Thanks for reading the stats, dude. We get it. I mean, the guy's such a doofus.
But that doesn't top out the white population at 53.
So what? So you're saying that white people take a fucking huge hit and drop, in terms of employment from Corona. And because we happened to land a point higher than Hispanics, that there's something wrong with this? What is your problem? Seriously, what planet are you living on where you think that this is an argument? Jesus.
0.4%. Now, since David's...
Wait a minute. Does this not show that Hispanics have more employment than whites? Hispanics, we're neck and neck. They're more than us here. They recovered from the depression faster, and they're way up here. So you're not going to comment on that? But no, whites are leading down here. What? So ridiculous.
problem seems to be revolving around.
And also, look at this. Now I'm actually looking at this stupid graph. So whatever everyone takes a downturn here, then the blacks start closing the gap. And they're on the rise, just like Hispanics are on the rise. Whites are plateaued. Blacks and Hispanics are getting more employment over the years. They were damn near next to us, next to Corona. Damn near next to us. So what is the big deal?
Crime.
Again, there's not even an attempt to suggest that there's something here that is worth talking about. Why do you think that white people or racism or whatever bullshit term you're going to come up with has anything to do with these numbers? Anything?
Let's look at some crime statistics.
Let's look at crime statistics. I wonder what this is going to be about.
The marijuana usage versus possession arrest.
Oh, so now talk about cherry picking. He picks the one crime. There's this bullshit, tired ass talking point where they go, blacks and whites smoke marijuana at the same rate. No, they don't. Blacks smoke more. They also smoke in public more. And they're also stupid in the way they do it because they're committing every other crime. And when they get arrested, they throw on the crime of marijuana possession. So this number is indicative of the fact that they are committing assault, robbery, trespassing, arson, murder, rape, all of those more. And in the process of those, they are smoking marijuana. So that's the reason.
By race. Well,
okay, so do you want to play this game? Let's do the next one. So marijuana usage in the past year. So his idea, even though blacks do that more, his idea is the main overarching idea, and he's cherry picking this one little thing, which is a stupid fucking infantile argument, but he's saying blacks and whites commit the same number of crime. And yet, and here's the racism, they get arrested more for it. So that's the worldview that he thinks we're living in. So why don't we throw up assault? Why don't you throw up assault and say, here's how blacks commit assault and here's how whites commit assault? That bar graph would go off the screen. You wouldn't be able to see it. So you're not going to do assault or robbery because it's absurdly more crimes are committed by blacks. And then when you look at their arrest, well, they commit more assault, they commit more rape, and then they get arrested for more assault and they get arrested for more rape. That's why we're not going to do it for those crimes, the significant crimes. And that's why they linger and eject after saying marijuana, it's all equal, and yet they get arrested more. Let's forget the fact that they're doing every other crime. Okay, let's forget that. Let's pretend this is in a vacuum.
As far as marijuana usage in the past year, which is 2018, which is the latest information that we had at this time, it seems like both black Americans and white Americans use marijuana about the same.
No, they do it more. They do it more.
But as you look at the marijuana possession arrest rates per 100,000,
yeah, maybe they should like smoke marijuana on the down low a little more. Maybe they should do it inside instead of outside. Maybe they should be smarter. Hey, blacks, be smarter about your marijuana usage. Or they could just not commit every other crime and stop getting in trouble with the cops by committing crimes. And then you wouldn't have marijuana possession tagged on to all your other crimes. But that's a big ask. It's a big ask.
You see a clear difference between the black population and...
This is so thorough. I almost feel embarrassed that I'm doing this to him. It's absolutely devastating. So I think I'm going to take it to the end of this little snippet and then cut it.
And the white population. Do you still think there isn't systemic racism?
Oh my God. Yes, I still think so. And it's been explained thoroughly and utterly.
If you still think systemic racism is a myth, well, we'll keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Tell me.
Police shootings?
Oh, you're not going to talk about police who are shot by people? Why is it that 40% of the time a cop is shot is from a black? They only make up 13% of the country, champ. Why is it 40% of the time they're shooting and killing cops? Shit. Do you want to talk about hate crimes? You want to talk about any fucking crime? But no, it's fatal police shootings. Okay.
Per million by race?
Oh, so finally you go per capita. And okay, more blacks are shot by cops. Makes perfect sense. Next. Makes perfect sense. They commit so much more crime. They're engaged with cops that much more. So compared to the number of encounters with cops, this is probably them being underrepresented. They're being underrepresented. That number should be higher.
The black population from January 2015 to the end of May 2020 had about 30 deaths, while Hispanics
What a nothing number. Jesus.
Came in at 22 deaths, whites came in at 12, and other races had 4. Next, if we go...
So what? I mean, this is like just a parade of racism of the gaps. So Dunning-Kruger, wow.
To the sentenced prisoners by race, we will see 2 bars.
Oh, there's 2 bars and there's a gap between the bars. Well, champ, here's your answer. Blacks commit a fuck ton of crime, more than any other race, by a huge margin. So that's why they're sentenced to prison more. Yeah. Was that hard to figure out?
For each particular race. One is the share of prisoners, and the other is the share of the overall population. So what we see for the whites is that they have 30.4%.
So stupid. I mean, he's going to fucking... Jesus, the way he reads these. Here's what this graph says. Okay, why do you think people are put in prison? Because they commit crime. So what you're looking at here is the disparity in criminal activity between the races. And you're blaming us for putting criminals in prison? What the fuck?
Share of prisoners, with a 60.3% share of overall population. The black population, though, has a 32.9% share of prisoners, with just a 12.3% share of the overall population. Did you notice that...
It's unbelievable. Like, can you believe that this is an adult?
The black share of prisoners as a percent is more than twice that of the percentage of the overall population, while the white percentage share of prisoners is half that of the overall population.
Yes, you fucking loser. I mean, and also, the criminal rates in the black community mirror criminal rates in black communities elsewhere. Blacks in London make up a very small percentage of London. I think it's around 13%, something like that, and they commit over half the murders in London. So it's the exact same phenomenon. And if you go to Africa, the numbers are the same. Black Americans fit right into the numerical norms of criminal rates in Africa, just as white Americans fit in with other white countries. So yeah, whites don't commit that much crime. I mean, and he looks at it like that's a problem with white people. Like, you see, whites make up 60%, they only are 30% of the prisons. Surely then you should say, blacks, you should only make up 6% of the prisons then. Be more like the whites. But he goes, no, no, no. It's not that individual crimes are being committed. No, it's that there's a system and it's racism, and just don't worry about the details. Really? Well, let's burrow down into this 32.9% of prisoners. And let's go ask the prosecutors and the judges and the victims. Let's ask the victims why that dude's in prison. Oh, because he did this and that. Oh, that's why. And you have evidence? Yeah, we do. And there was a trial? Yeah, there was. And there was a victim? Uh-huh, there was. Okay, so not that guy. That guy's an actual criminal. So that wasn't a product of systemic racism. That was a product of a dude raping a chick.
That is clearly systemic racism.
What?
Next.
That's, guys, you don't know what happened before the Big Bang? That's clearly an example of God.
If we go to ratio of imprisonment rates of black males to white males
You're
by
saying the same thing over and over again. Blacks commit more crimes.
age, you'll find that black males aged 18 to 19 are 12.7 times more likely to be in prison than white males of the same age.
Yes, because they commit more crimes. Yes.
Again, clearly systemic racism.
What? You can't be this basic. This is terrible.
And these numbers are not.
Look at him. You wish your neck was that thin. Oh, bobblehead. Damn it. Look at him. He thinks he's like an entity, a brand. Look at this stupid, tacky, hillbilly, white trash fucking tattoos. Sickening.
Not because black people are inherently more criminal.
Oh my lord. Inherently more criminal. So he just threw out a straw man and tried to pivot the conversation to, are you saying this is doomed? It's destiny, that they're always going to commit crimes. Are you saying it's a biological thing? It's a predetermined thing. It's a genetic thing. We don't even have to get to any of that. All those red herrings. Because you know what takes precedence? Takes what's more important than all of that is who is committing crime. No one gives a fuck about who's inherently more likely. No, what matters is who is doing something, who has done something. We have proof. It's already happened. All right. And we have prediction models that will tell you who's going to, like next year, more blacks are going to commit crime in America than whites per capita. Guaranteed. So I don't know what you're going to call that. You call that wisdom, but it doesn't have to be like that. Things could go radically different. They won't, but they could. But it's clearly what is happening is more important than what inherently could happen, is more likely to happen. What kind of a total pass are you giving to actual criminals?
In some kind of way. That's because there is clearly systemic racism that still permeates our society.
That's incredible. He said the word permeate twice now. And it's clear. He said clearly twice. It's clearly racism, guys. Clearly. Come on. I mean, blacks commit more crimes, but do they? Do they really? Yes, they do. Oh my God.
So, as you can clearly see, there are systemic issues.
It's like rinse and repeat. There are systemic issues that clearly represent the racism, guys.
Issues that cause black Americans to be both overly represented and underrepresented in these statistics.
Oh my God. So that was his best case to prove systemic racism. So I will now have a ruling on this, and my decision is you have failed. That was embarrassing. I'm going to broadcast this to anyone who wants to listen to it, because that's the best that the other side has to offer. What you just saw, which was, I mean, quite frankly, he should be given a lobotomy. His brain is worthless. What was presented to you would have been laughed out of the freaking auditorium. Present that to anyone with half a brain, and they're going to be like, I'm waiting for you to make a point. And his adherence to circling back to clearly systemic racism of the gaps. He is so deeply uncomfortable with the failure, the ongoing miserable failure of blacks, and he's not going to let them be responsible for it. They can't be. He cannot live in that world. So he has to find a boogeyman. The boogeyman is racism. It's white people. And it's somehow our fault that they do what they do. And what they're doing is dropping out of school, getting pregnant early, not getting married, not raising their kids, glorifying violence, not getting jobs, committing crimes, not saving money, not passing on wealth. That's what they're doing. Okay? They're overeating. They're fat as shit. That's why they're dying from corona. They're not taking care of their health. And it's not our fault. It's entirely their fault. Devin Tracy, 2020, you're welcome.